Okay, so I wasn't 100% happy with the drain setup that I had on the turbo, the low mount turbo. This was the old, basically it's a sump I've built hanging off the drain of the turbo. That would then be used to collect the oil, which would then be sucked by the scavenger pump and then recirculated back into the main sump. There's a couple of things I wasn't happy about. Firstly, the inside diameter here, basically coming right off the bottom of the turbo core, is that's 12mm, and even though this is -10 fittings, because it's fittings, the actual inside diameter is less than the diameter of the hose, so it's a bit of a restriction, and I'm a bit worried that it would cause backing up. The new sump that I've built, basically my own flange, I just cut out a bit of flat bar. It's got 1-inch diameter tubing straight coming out of it, and then into this little triangular section, which is approximately 1-inch square, and into the larger tank. So I'm hoping there's going to be no restriction draining out of there, causing backing up inside the turbo and oil coming out the seals. The other thing I wasn't 100% happy with was how low it hanged. Looking at it from this angle, you can see it's got quite a distance, just because the fitting, I tried to have the fitting, you know, as close as I can to it, but you've still got that distance to try and space it down. So looking at this one, it's actually sitting up probably 20 or 30 mil higher than the other setup, and this, when it's on the vehicle, has actually got a slight downhill incline on it. So where the suction is at the back, that's actually probably 15 mil tilted rear when the car's on level ground. So I'm hoping this is going to do the trick. It's all tigged up in aluminium, bit rough, but it holds pressure. I've pressure tested it. Shall see what happens. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick little shot of it fitted to the vehicle. That's it there. It's got a bit of a heat shield on it there because it's quite close to the turbine housing of the turbo. As you can see, it does have that slight downhill angle, which I'm hoping is going to help with draining. And also the other thing I was worried about was the height downwards. You can see it's actually just sitting higher than the this subframe, this bar here, this lower brace. The exhaust hangs lower. It's probably going to scrape the hell out of it, but we'll just have to see what happens. I don't want to be smashing this on bits and pieces because, well, you make a big mess. You have to get, you won't be able to drive the car and whatnot if that breaks. So tucking it up as high as possible, yet still maintaining function, was a very high priority. Got the wastegate exit there. It's about the same level as that. About the same level here as the intercooler piping coming out the turbo, and as I said, that cross member. So she's pretty well about as tucked up as I can get it. It does seem to be functioning alright. I haven't had any oiling issues with it in the testing that I've done. So yeah, I don't know if that angle is any good, but you can possibly see how it connects to the turbo up there with the flange. A couple of Allen head screws straight in. That down at the rear, that's the suction, and I didn't mention it previously, but up the top there's two vents, and they go directly to my catch cans. The reason I have those there is with the scavenger pump pumping away or sucking away on that drain, it's actually going to be pulling a vacuum as it's trying to function. I didn't really want to be pulling a vacuum on the turbo drain, as that's basically going to be increasing the pressure drop over from the oil to the drain, and I don't think it's too good for it. So having those two drains off the catch can stops a vacuum inside the tank when the pump's under operation, and it also allows the catch cans to self-drain back to the engine. I didn't want too much open passageway to the catch cans, so with those fittings I actually welded up the base, the weld fittings, before I welded them onto the tank, welded them up solid, then re-drilled the holes at 1mm on each one, which should be enough to clear blow-by oil that collects in the cans as it drains down, without allowing too much air to be pulled into the tank, but stopping that vacuum, well, the largest majority of that vacuum, I believe. It's very hard to test these things without putting pressure gauges on and such, but that's the theory there. Okay.